Today we got some pretty interesting information about the future of Star Wars movies, in particular the next sequel trilogy.
I'm Spider-Man.
There's a lot that I really want to get into with this. There's so many different positives and negatives that come along with the announcement of the next trilogy. So before we get started, if you guys could leave a like on this video, comment down below your thoughts because I read every single one. I most likely will respond. And lastly, we're on the road to 5,000 subs. So if you're new to this channel and love talking about Star Wars, Marvel, anything pop culture, I would love to have you here. So now let's get into the news that Star Wars episode 10, 11, and 12, the next trilogy, are seemingly in development. It's being reported that Simon Kinberg is actually going to have tons of control over this next trilogy, and his most known works are of course the Fox X-Men movies, as well as a couple things on Star Wars Rebels. He actually directed some of my favorite episodes on Star Wars Rebels, which makes me really excited, but then you look at some of the other filmography things and start to question why he keeps coming back to make big movies. I'm not judging anybody's skill in terms of what they can make, because obviously he's made incredible things and he's made things that some people really just don't like. But this is just the tip of the iceberg in the discussion, because I want to talk about Star Wars movies and show announcements as they stand right now. Let's just read the room. We had The Acolyte come out, which again, I didn't hate it nearly as much as everybody else did, but it wasn't a success in the statistical standpoint. We've been waiting for Andor season 2 for God knows how long, and we just finished up The Bad Batch. We had The Mandalorian season 3 that didn't really end on the biggest high note like season 2 and season 1 did, that's being developed now into a Mandalorian and Grogu movie. And we also have Ahsoka season 2, which I'm very, very excited about. But in terms of Star Wars films, there's been rumors for ages now about Taika Waititi's Star Wars film, James Mangold's Star Wars film. We had Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron movie, as well as the supposed sequel movies focusing on Rey Skywalker. Now, I'm not sure if this next trilogy is going to be focusing on those sequel characters. I honestly hope that it does, not because I love the sequel characters, but I think these characters deserve more depth. I do think they kind of fumbled the bag with some characters, in particular Finn, Rose, Poe, and even Rey to some extent. So to have them come back and make more movies would be fantastic in my opinion, because we get to have a singular creator, writer, director kind of helming the next trilogy, where we had J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson controlling the sequel trilogy, going back and forth, kind of trying to cancel out what each other did, which we know how that went. Some people really like those movies. I'm kind of in the middle, and clearly some people really do not like them. But that's all beside the point. The point that I want to make here is we are having all of these discussions about greenlighting projects with Star Wars when things are getting canceled, things are getting pushed further out. We don't know if anything really is ever going to come out. The weirdest thing for me is The Mandalorian and Grogu. For one, I don't like that title at all, and I don't know why they're not just continuing the series on Disney Plus, because it seems to be their biggest success in Star Wars. Apparently Taika Waititi's Star Wars movie has been canceled or delayed, but we don't really know, but they did announce it years ago. Same with them announcing Rogue Squadron years ago, and they canceled that as well. So preemptively announcing Star Wars episode 10, 11, and 12 while having trouble working with Andor season 2 because it hasn't come out. We don't know if there's problems with it or if they're just holding on to it. We have the lukewarm reception to the Skeleton Crew trailer, because I haven't even watched it yet, and if you guys want to see me react to it, I'd love to. I just really haven't had the interest to. We also have the Book of Boba Fett. We don't know if that's getting a sequel. It just seems like they're announcing so many different projects in terms of movies and where they want to go with Star Wars, but at the same time, where's the cohesive vision? I think the best thing that we have right now is Ahsoka, and I am really looking forward to season 2, but why not just continue on that story path? Why kind of jump around? I mean, I know Marvel does the same thing in their universe, but Star Wars really needs to course correct after these last couple years. I'm not saying that any project in particular was bad or good, but I think if we're going to bring Star Wars back to the big screen, we need to do it in a big cohesive way. Not to bring up the sequel trilogy again, but the difference between Rise of Skywalker, The Last Jedi, and The Force Awakens is like going up and down, up and down. Not just in terms of quality, but in terms of story, character decisions, diverting expectations. I think having a singular creative vision for the next trilogy of films is a very smart move, but what about these other projects that you've been talking about for so long that fans are somewhat looking forward to that haven't seen the light of day yet? In terms of what I want to see with 10, 11, and 12, the next Star Wars trilogy, I think we can keep some of the characters, that being Rey, Finn, Poe, Rose, etc. But I don't think it needs to go right off the tails of the sequel trilogy. I mean, as Kylo Ren says, let the past die, kill it if you have to. Let's move on, let's tell new stories, let's have a cohesive vision for the future. I personally think Rey is a great great character and I like Daisy Ridley, so having her continue building up the new Jedi Order, building up all this new mythology and lore, going off the tales of the New Empire-esque story that they're telling with Ahsoka Season 2 and Season 1 with Thrawn, as well as Rebels, I think that's a good idea, but we want to see how that ends first. Because the last thing I want is to have a new trilogy set in the future when I'm still waiting to find out what happens after the events of Ahsoka. And I think fans are really enjoying that, but there's also rumors that Dave Filoni is going to have a Star Wars movie next to Mandalorian and Grogu that's kind of going to be heir to the Empire, focusing on Thrawn. I think the biggest takeaway from this is Star Wars needs to come out and give us a slate, kind of like Marvel does. And not just the slate of what's coming out, but kind of give us a direction of where we're going in terms of the future of Star Wars, because as of right now, we're jumping around the timeline. Things are really good, things are not so good, it's kind of all over the place. And Star Wars is my first love. I'm always going to be a fan of this, whether I like a project or not. I'm always going to view it with open eyes, and I gotta say, I'm kind of excited for Skeleton Crew. I'm not really hyped about it. I don't think it looks bad by any means. Again, I haven't watched the new trailer yet, so I don't really know what to expect. I'm optimistic about it, but I'm not like extremely excited. Lastly, I want to advise you guys not to get too excited about this announcement, because who knows if it's even going to come true. Rumors do point to it being true, but if we look at the last couple years of what's been announced versus what's actually been made, what's been put out, and how it's been received, there's a lot of things that never saw the light of day, and I'm hoping this does. Guys, give me your thoughts down below in the comments. I would love to hear what you have to say. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all very, very soon.